Hello, everyone. I am very excited to welcome you to this year's Passion Talks conference. My name is Tammy Chang, and had the honor this year to be the program chair for Passion Talks. And today's track chair is Denise Yun, who you'll hear from after myself. So if this is your first time hearing about and attending a Passion Talks conference, Passion Talks started back in 2010 as an idea amongst Christian graduate students who are looking for ways to communicate what their work had to do with their faith. And over the years, it has expanded from the university setting it started in to being hosted in churches and also on the Google campus. It has also seeded many additional programs, including Academic Bridges, which you saw a video of just now. And since the pandemic started last year, we moved to a virtual conference format, which also meant that we could involve even more speakers and attendees who are outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. And this year, we have a very exciting program. We have 8 sessions, including a poster session. Our sessions cover a broad range of topics, from workplace ministry and faith-based leadership to research and development and conversations around justice. So we have on the order of 40 talks and 20 posters, as well as speakers from around the country and world. That includes not just California, but also Washington, Idaho, New York, and many other states listed here, as well as Canada, Brazil, Ireland, Ethiopia, and Uganda. But before we talk about the specifics of the program, I want to also take a few minutes to talk about this year's conference theme. When Cheryl asked me to be program chair in March this year, she told me that the bare minimum I could do as program chair would be to pray about and decide what this year's theme would be. While I was on that call with her, I was walking outside at work on a cloudy day on an effectively vacant campus, something that felt and looked a little bit like the picture on the left. I had a mask in my hand and I was unvaccinated. And at that point, California had just announced it would start vaccinating those with disabilities or underlying health conditions. So naturally, after a year of dealing with some of the worst points of the pandemic in the US, at that moment, the idea of hope felt very real to the current circumstances, particularly hope that the state of the pandemic would improve. And I think that type of hope that emerges as circumstances improve or seem incredibly likely to improve, is a very optimistic and joyful hope. Something like this image of a person watching the sunrise over the mountains. And these past few months, I really do think we have had much to be joyful and hopeful about in the US, whether it has been regathering with friends and family, interacting more in person with coworkers again, or feeling more safe engaging in everyday activities like eating at restaurants, visiting grocery stores, and more. But all the while, many of us have also recognized that things haven't been good across the board. There have been plenty of challenges still, many of which were societal issues that existed pre-pandemic, but issues that were further exacerbated or amplified by COVID-19. And that includes housing and wealth inequality, the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 across racial and ethnic groups in the US, as well as the disproportionate impact of COVID across countries with varying hospital capacity per capita or varying access to vaccines. And right now, we are all watching closely as the Delta variant drives new surges, both stateside and globally. So when we think about hope, there is another type of hope in addition to a joyful one that emerges as we see circumstances improving. This hope is one that alternatively stands in the face of the impossible, whether that's income inequality, racial injustice and discrimination, violence, war, environmental issues, cancer, and other life-threatening diseases. There's a hope that feels more like this image here, like a small candle in the darkness. And one embodiment to me of that type of hopefulness is what Brian Stevenson has spoken about. So Brian is the author of the book Just Mercy. He's also the founder of the Equal Justice Initiative. And Brian has spent his career working hard to free wrongly convicted people on death row. And in June last year, during an interview on PBS, Brian talked about the type of hope that stands in the face of the impossible. He said, and this is a long quote, but it's a good one. He said, "We cannot succeed if we become hopeless. Hopelessness is the enemy of justice. I think injustice prevails where hopelessness persists. I think we have to be hopeful. Hope is what allows us to believe things we haven't seen. I've been practicing law for 35 years. We've gotten a lot of people off of death row. We've gotten a lot of people wrongly convicted freed. I had to believe that could happen, even though I hadn't seen that happen before. I never met a lawyer before I went to Harvard Law School. I just think hope is what empowers you to do the things that have to be done. Hope will get you to stand up when other people say sit down. Hope will get you to speak when other people say be quiet. If I learned anything from Rosa Parks and the generation of extraordinary people who lived in this community, is that you have to be hopeful about what you can do, even when you don't feel like you have a lot to do with it." And so this year, our theme for this conference is Compelled by Hope. And we seek to both celebrate the sunrise-like victories of our speakers and the good work they are doing in the world, but also to encourage each other to continue working and praying in the darker places where there's still much to be done. And to that end, we have 7 sessions over the next 2 days, led by 7 wonderful session chairs. Denise, the track chair for today, will be talking after me about today's sessions. But as a snapshot for Saturday, Richard Coleman will be leading a session on global activities, including those affiliated with the Lassam movement. Hannah Eagleson will be leading a session discussing how online communities have developed and flourished in the face of the pandemic. Cheryl Chen will be leading a session on R&D work in the university and beyond. And Angelo Blancaflor will lead a session discussing justice and bridge building between people with different perspectives. So I'm really looking forward to the talks both today and tomorrow, and I hope you'll be able to join for as much of it as you can. And for details on the program, you can go to bit.ly, PT21 links to find the digital program and schedule at a glance. We're also doing something new today and this year. This is a virtual poster session and conference social on GatherTown. It will be 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time today. So GatherTown is a proximity-based online platform where people can interact in a virtual format. And so we will have 20 different poster presentations in a room in GatherTown for people to interact with. As well as socialize and interact with during this time with the speakers and session chairs of the conference. We'll also have the opportunity, some sessions will be gathering after their session in GatherTown as well. So you can be on the lookout for that opportunity to interact with speakers also. And this poster session is being led by Julia Choi and Stephen Lin, who have put a lot of work into designing the Passion Talks GatherTown and making this work possible. And they do encourage you not only to attend, but also to keep your camera on so you can engage with other people in the fullest way possible. And for details on the poster session, as well as guidelines and tips, you can go to bit.ly/PTGather. So finally, I also want to especially thank our organizing committee. This conference, although it's only 2 days, takes more than 6 months in advance to prepare and can involve participation and preparation on a weekly or bi-weekly basis to make it happen. So I'm really grateful for the team that has worked together this year to make Passion Talks possible, especially give credit to Cheryl Chen and Nicole Dickens for all of the organizing work they've done. And I'm really excited about what we have in store. So all that said, I just once again extend a hearty welcome to you wherever you are, whether it's in the San Francisco Bay Area nearby or across the country or across an ocean. We're really grateful and excited that you're joining us. And my hope and prayer for each one of you who are attending, listening to the talks and engaging in the poster session this year is that you would be inspired by our speakers and the talks and posters that they've worked hard to prepare. There is a lot of really incredible work that people in this conference are engaging in every day. And I genuinely hope that as you listen to these talks, that you would also be encouraged as well to reflect on your own passions, and engage more hopefully in addressing the challenges that we still face locally and globally. And if there are places in your life that do feel hopeless, I hope that there is inspiration and encouragement to find hope in this time. So that said, welcome to Passion Talks. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to Denise, who will be talking about the track today.
Thank you, Tammy, for that fantastic introduction. And I am so glad to be here with you all. Welcome to the Passion Talks track on faith and work. I'm Denise Lee Yan, Director of the Faith and Work Journey. And we've got 3 inspiring, provocative sessions for you today, starting with God's work at work, then integrated leadership, and finally serving 2.0. The track is intended to share insights and spark ideas about what it means and what it looks like to be a Christian and a working professional. And this is a topic I'm personally passionate about. My personal statement of purpose is to help business people faithfully steward their professional vocations. And I fulfill this purpose in part through the Faith and Work Journey, which is a spiritual formation and professional development experience that helps Christian business people cultivate a vital integration of faith and work. And on our website, faithandworkjourney.com, you can learn more about the Faith and Work Journey and apply to participate in the fall program, which starts in just a few weeks. So I'm going to put that link in the chat just so that you have that and can check it out. Passion Talks is another way that I fulfill my purpose to help business people faithfully steward their professional vocation and to express my passion for faith and work. And we've got a fantastic lineup of speakers who are going to explore different aspects of this topic. Before I introduce you to the session and the session chairs, here are a few tips to get the most out of your experience today. The first, Tammy mentioned that you can access the digital program as well as order a beautiful hard copy of the program through the bit.ly link that I put into the chat, bit.ly/pt21ref. Also, at the end of each session, there will be a time when all the speakers will join a panel to interact with each other and to answer questions. So be sure to stick around for the end of the session each time. And speaking of your questions, we definitely want to hear from you during the day. So please use the Facebook Live chat to pose questions, provide feedback, and share your own insights on the topics that the speakers will be sharing. Okay, so here I want to introduce the 3 sessions. The first is called God's Work at Work. And in it, you will learn how deeply God cares about our day-to-day work in the secular marketplace. The session is chaired by Jason Rahman, who is a Seattle-based software engineer at a major social media company, where he serves with their Christian Employee Resource Group, ERG. He's also active in the faith and work and faith and tech space in Seattle, helping Christians connect Sunday to Monday. His session will run from 9:30 to 11:30 Pacific. Then we'll take a short break, and then at 12 Pacific, we'll start back up with a session on integrated leadership, which highlights the need to attend to the inner life that is critical for anyone holding a leadership position. Susie Lips is chairing that session, assembled a group of top-notch speakers. And Susie herself has a degree in leadership from the Fuller Theological Seminary. She currently lives in Sonoma County, where she runs a wine country experience for leaders called Conversations in the Vineyard. Then we'll have another short break from 2 to 2:30 Pacific, and then Nick Kim will present the Serving 2.0 session, which is for all of you who are wondering how you can be of better service to bring lasting impact for God's kingdom. Nick is currently on assignment at Google, where he drives engineering projects for YouTube. He's also a member of the Google Christian Steering Committee, and he's involved with global missions organizations, having the heart to supercharge missions and innovate ways to serve the nation. So you can see we have a talented group of session chairs who have worked hard to curate speakers and topics that we hope will help you think about and do your work differently. And just as Tammy mentioned, after next session, which is scheduled to run until 4:30, please plan to head over to the poster session on GatherTown. And then, of course, join us tomorrow for another great lineup of sessions. I hope you enjoy today's track. Again, my name is Denise Lee John. I'm the director of the Faith and Work Journey. And so we are now going to get started with today's track on faith and work with Jason, who's going to set up the session on God's work at work. Thanks for being here.